Hello everyone, welcome back to another Transformers review. Now as you can see I'm doing a Starscream figure. Now this was kindly sent to me by Matt Trans7272. Now this was another one of the Transformers he sent me in my last unboxing, and a really great figure. Now as I said in the unboxing, I don't really remember this figure being released in the UK. It might well have been, and maybe I just was unfortunate I didn't see it in the shops near where I live. It came in the same Dark of the Moon line as the figures with the sort of opaque sort of plastic on the bodies, the remolds of some of the earlier Transformers. I'll show you. It came with the usual instruction sheet, which of course is Starscream in this case, but he is slightly larger. The other ones what were in the line, as far as I can remember, are all just deluxes, so this is more of a Voyager size figure. Now all of this particular line came with a small IDW comic to do with the character, and also linking the character with some of the others in the same line, which is really nice, obviously with the usual IDW artwork inside, full colour. Nice little thing to add in. I wish they'd do that on some more of the actual toys. It would actually sort of just give a little bit of a fun bit of background to each individual character, especially as some of the line obviously aren't in, say, like the movies or the cartoon series, so it kind of would sort of give a little BG, not enough to hurt you, as Ray always says, but yeah, it's a nice little touch and something I think should have been carried on right across the whole line. Anyway, getting to the Star Wars, getting to the Starscream figure, while I put my teeth back in. Obviously he's based on the F-22 Raptor jet, which I believe is the correct one. Really nice alt mode, a little bit of kibble. You do see a little bit, and it's quite obvious that's his arms and his hands at the back, which is just a shame that they couldn't hide those just by folding them in or something like that. But you know, it's the only downside to the plain mode, because the rest of it is pretty good. I like the sort of, like they call it, like Decepticon tattoos in the film, but obviously it's just some silver markings on there. Yeah, it's a bit of a difference. It would have been nice actually to get this guy in a G1 colour scheme as well. I know they do some of the others in the other Dark of the Moon jets, where they do Skywarp and Thundercracker. And it would have been quite nice to get this set of planes in a G1 colour scheme, but again this is more accurate to the actual movie line. Really nice deep red canopy as well on top, just add a bit of contrast rather than it just being, say, a smoky grey colour, which is again a nice feature. And another nice feature that you don't always get even on some of the Prime line of figures, you get an undercarriage. You've got two little wheels at the back there, and you get a double sort of hinging front one, which again, it means that if you've got it in plain mode, it's going to sit there properly, which again is nice. Now the other nice feature what they did with this figure, which is also far superior to the other movie line Decepticon jets, is the fact that they did the weapons differently. So they're sprung loaded launchers on the arms, but they've made the missiles that you can peg them onto the wings. And if I take these off, because we'll need to for the transformation anyway, and they just sit in a little slot there on a little peg under the wing. Now that's really nice because it's less bulky, it looks more like a proper missile under the wing that you'd fire off, and yeah, that's just a lot nicer. So well worth picking up this figure. It's certainly one I'd recommend. Now getting to his transformation, which is, as Smuzno commented when I did the unboxing, is quite a bizarre transformation. It's certainly very different than any of the others that I've ever had of Starscream, and it's going to be quite complicated. So I've actually got the instructions in front of me just on the off chance that I need them. First of all, you've got to separate everything, of course. So you've got to separate the arms apart underneath. You've got to fold the canopy up and fold away the little wheels at the back. You've then got to release this darker grey plastic piece underneath, this central piece, which also unpegs the wings from the sides. You've then got to separate right down the centre line of the jet. At the back there's a catch, you just got to unclip that loose, and then that kind of starts to make everything come apart. Folding up the nose as well is a good idea at this point, just get it out of the way. Now folding down the wings and dropping away this section gets them out of the way for now. Try and keep this all in shot because obviously it gets quite elaborate as it starts coming apart. You've then got to take the two sides of the jet and swing them round. You've then got to swing out these middle sections for what was the back of the jet, and you end up with a great big weird shaped bit with Starscream's head on top. You've then got to, if I can get this right, you've got to flip over what were the rear stabiliser wings, so you see these red parts exposed, and then you've got to bring those up and in, sort of hinging this almost a little bit like Ratbat's from G1's wing, and you'll see a little red peg on the side there, and there's a corresponding sort of hole there for it. Now you've got to peg those into there, which gives Starscream his characteristic, I suppose almost like diamond shape. You've got to do that on both sides, and they don't go in with a massive sort of click as such. They just sort of sit there. But at the bottom where this joins, you've got a little joint there at the bottom in his sort of crutch area, and that just slides together and holds it all nice and firm. Now what the point of that is that when this is all positioned correctly, which I haven't done yet, let's see if I can just pop those in. They've popped out of position. When they're all in position properly, and I'll bring that in, when you turn Starscream's head, all the red parts inside the chest area turn as you turn his head. So it's like a mechanical movement. And it works really well. It sort of looks good. It's a nice little gimmick. Now getting to the rest of Starscream, which is still nowhere near finished, you need to obviously fold down all the flaps and get them to look more like they're sort of tidy. So you're bringing in all of the wing tips and other parts of bodywork, just lining them up to obviously finish his shape off from the movie. Now with the legs, you have to extend them. You flip down the piece there to form his foot, and then that's got to be swung round. Let's see, that turns at the sort of like the shin to turn the foot round the right way. So you're swinging it down, extending it, turning it at the bottom, and swinging the foot down like so, and that forms his legs. Moving on then to the arms, they're pretty much already in the right position. All you need to do is just literally angle the arms sort of like round and just sort of position them. Now the only downside I'd say is his elbow hinges the wrong way, because although the gun being on top obviously means you can aim the weapons and that, he can't actually bend his elbow the way it should be if that's his hand open that way. It's a little bit odd because obviously, you know, you'd sort of aim the weapons that way and then be able to bend the arm that way, but it actually bends the opposite. So a little bit odd why they did it that way, or didn't hinge it in both directions. It doesn't detract too much from the figure because obviously you can still position them anyway. The last bit, of course, is just to finish off his back, which you just take that centre section down and it just sort of sits like a backpack behind him, and then you take the wings and you just literally unclip them at the point, at the edge wingtip, fold that sort of down and behind, and again do that, fold it down behind, and that just sort of sits sort of like behind his shoulders like so. And that's Starscream done, I believe. Obviously you can position around the legs to what you want to. Obviously these missiles fit into his guns on his arms. So again, harkening back to the classic Seeker jet way of having their weapons on their arms. And of course you can do the classic movie weirdly bent chicken legs for Starscream, and you kind of really need to make him a bit more stable. It makes him a little bit shorter and stumpier, unfortunately, which is another sort of unfortunate thing about the design of the movie line Starscream as opposed to the more classic versions. But yeah, he's definitely a good figure. Certainly one of the more unusual transformations, certainly. He's got sort of good features. I mean, I do like the mechanical sort of feature. I'll bring that in again and just sort of move the head. I don't know if you can quite make it if I bring that in tight. There you go. Even like the cogs inside on the workings sort of in there, all turn as well. So again, it's a nice little feature. And his head sculpt's pretty good to the movie. If I lift the camera up so I can bring it in, yeah, not a bad head sculpt. Like I say, movie accurate. Not quite my favourite sort of Starscream face. I'd rather he'd always had the G1 face, but yeah, certainly a good fun Transformer to add to your collection, and a good representation of the movie Starscream as well. Anyway, that's Starscream's review done. Please feel free to comment and subscribe to this channel. If there's anything particularly you'd like reviewed, please feel free to ask, and I shall dig it out if I've got it and do a review. Or feel free to check some of my older vids, because people have asked before about doing a certain one, and I've already actually done it, and it could well be sort of back in one of my earlier vids. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you again for another Transformers review.